Welcome back, everyone. Pal Ponder on Weather here. We got a lot to talk about in this update, so let's get right to it and delve into the details. We've got an atmospheric river event that's going to pummel the West Coast with a lot of rainfall throughout the entire week. At the same time, we've got ridging and the Arctic air slowly starting to retreat. The problem is once these winds turn around from the south, that's going to pull in that Gulf moisture, and that moisture is going to fall into that Arctic air and setting the stage for the initial freezing rain ice storm setup into the middle of the country for the next couple of days. So I appreciate all my subscribers out there. This channel is up to 234,000 subscribers. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm here on a daily basis putting on a lot of content. So if you are new here, hit the subscribe button if you do like daily breakdowns to keep you well ahead of the storm. So let's take a look at the hazard map because it's busy. We got a lot of colors on the map and they're starting to fill in, especially for those areas into the Oklahoma region where they do have widespread winter weather advisories, where they are anticipating some of that ice to start forming into the overnight hours. Upgraded winter storm warning up there into eastern portions of Oklahoma, and then even an ice storm warning in western Arkansas. But notice the extension all the way up into portions of Kansas and Missouri, as well as into Illinois. Not yet any winter weather advisories in portions of Texas, but it doesn't mean you're not going to get any of that freezing precipitation. So let's take a look at the temperatures, as we get into this morning time frame. This is where we are right now. We still got the Arctic air in place. It's not as intense as it was, but still we've got definitely colder temperatures for a good part of the United States, with single digits up here where that snowpack is still on the ground up into Iowa and to Illinois, a good chunk of Indiana. But those temperatures plunge all the way down to the south, and they're just going to be hovering all day long because there's a lot of cloud cover down here anticipating what's to come into the overnight hours heading into tomorrow. So let's take a look at this setup and how it's all going to play out. So it's crucial. Nothing really happens until sunset. Once we get past sunset, the temperatures have been cold, but we also have a little bit of a drier air aloft, colder air sinks. So the initial stage of this event, we are going to see that precipitation fall, but it's actually not going to reach the surface because they are seeing that little drier slot about 2,000 feet up in the atmosphere. But during that process, evaporative cooling is going to take place, and that is going to cool some of those layers of the atmosphere up above. And so that's going to be significant and drop those temperatures another couple of degrees. And that's all it's going to take up here into portions of North Texas and getting it into Oklahoma to move all that rain to freezing rain once we go into that 7, 8, 9 o'clock time frames. You can see the transition in some of these temperatures. We're right at 33, 32, 31 degrees up there in North Texas, getting close into the Red River. We're getting towards 29 into Oklahoma region. Now we're talking 27, 28, 31. That's crucial because further to the south in Texas, yes, it's freezing 32, 31, 30 degrees, but it's not like it's going to freeze on everything. It's typically more of a bridging and overpass type setup implications. Some slick spots on some side roads. But once you get into that 29, 28, 27 range, that is going to freeze everything it touches, and that's just going to be a complete nightmare. That's why we do have upgraded winter storm warnings and ice storm warnings up there in eastern Oklahoma as well as into western Arkansas. But it just gets a complete mess into the overnight hours. This is what the radar looked like about 3 o'clock in the morning, Sunday night, heading into Monday morning. Yes, there's a lot of pink on the map. It's seeing those temperatures 32, 31, 30 degrees. Now, again, that doesn't mean it's going to just freeze on everything it touches. It's mainly going to be impacting some slit spots into the Dallas-Fort Worth region and north of there, with some of that freezing rain causing those slick spots, especially into the overnight hours. Now, again, if you're the truck drivers, you're out. This is 3 o'clock in the morning. So if you're home in bed asleep, you're probably not going to be feeling the effects of this event in Texas, because by the time you wake up, by 6 o'clock, everything's going to be actually above freezing. It's going to be moving into Oklahoma. So that's the concern on the initial stage. Yes, we do have some slick spots, but we got a lot of rain with that south wind coming in on the backside. So once you get into that 7 a.m. time frame, notice all the rain is now all the freezing rain is gone. Notice all the heavier rain has moved in. That's because the temperatures are going to go safely above that freezing mark, but it's still freezing up there in Oklahoma, but especially into western Arkansas, where they're going to have an extended time frame of those temperatures of 26, 27, 28, 29 degrees. That's the crucial temperature, where that's why we do have the ice storm upgraded warnings. We could be looking at a 1/4 inch, if not more, some ice appreciation in some of those areas. So that is just dangerously starts coating some of those power lines as well, not just the street. So I'm expecting numerous delays and closures out here out into Oklahoma and Arkansas, heading into eventually Missouri, going into that morning time frame of Monday. And there's the afternoon temperatures going into that 4 o'clock time frame. So we've got the south wind, we've got a lot of warmer temperatures pulling in from the south. So that's the transition. It's going to be the fight, and that's why it's a complete mess. So not only do you get that layer of ice on top where you got some slick spots in the beginning and dangerous ice conditions, but then you just got the deluge of rain that's going to come in the southern flank of this storm with very heavy precipitation. So, I mean, we're looking at 1 to 2 inches of rain just in the Dallas-Fort Worth area on Monday. We're looking at probably 2 to 4 inches of rain into southeast Texas and heading down towards the Houston region. And then that's just gonna be a complete mess with the freezing rain still unloading further north into Arkansas, but that'll eventually head into Missouri and get into Illinois. And then we're going towards the evening time frame again. So there's around 6 o'clock. So notice the warmer temperatures on the backside, not hot, but by any stretch of the imagination, you're still in the 30s with all that rain falling, but you're safely above that freezing mark, but you're still going to be below freezing once you get up into Illinois and to Indiana. This is where they've got the snowpack. So it's going to take a lot longer to warm those temperatures up, because it feels the colder air at the surface already, because that layer of ice that's on the ground. And that's why we've got, heading into the evening time frame up there in central and northern Illinois, now we're going to get more significant icing trying to form again, because we've got that freezing rain and the process of just being at nighttime again. Already you're already at your colder temperatures. Yes, all that's just going to transfer back over to that solid freezing rain up there in Illinois, back into Indiana. And then, of course, you got the unloading of the rain into Tuesday, heading into a good parts of the South, falling on top of that freezing rain ice setup. So, I mean, it's just going to be a slushy mess up here. And then all rain will be freezing rain going into Illinois and into Indiana, and then getting up into Ohio, going into the overnight time frame on Monday night. So when you wake up on Tuesday morning, now the setup is really highlighted over Illinois into Indiana and heading into Ohio here. And then this will be shifting further off to the northeast. So by the time he gets to Michigan, most of that, maybe on the southern flank, is going to be freezing rain, but it should eventually transfer to finally that all snow, because the warmer temperatures is going to run out of room. But yeah, I mean, look at the swath of freezing rain and ice that could set up, initially starting within portions of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, especially northwest of there, heading towards the Red River. But it just gets dangerous into the overnight hour tomorrow morning, into Oklahoma, into Arkansas, heading up to Missouri, and then it'll eventually head into the overnight hours again on Monday night, going into Tuesday morning, into Illinois, into Indiana, and Ohio. That was the blend of the ensembles. Here's the latest high-resolution guidance on some of this ice accretion stuff. It's not seeing the accumulations further into Texas. That's because I don't know. Like I said, between 32, 31, 30 degrees, yes, it is freezing rain. How much is that is actually going to be able to accumulate on some of the surfaces is questionable, because it, again, just because you're 32 degrees doesn't mean it's going to freeze on everything on site. The main temperature is going to be 29, 28, 27 degrees that we've got to be concerned about. But unless you're on the roadway between 3 o'clock in the, say midnight and 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, that 6-hour window, you're not going to really be affected from this. So I mean, just be cautious if you have to be traveling overnight, especially those truck drivers that drive in the middle of the night. This is just going to be a complete nightmare. So I think most of it's done in Texas by sunrise, and then but it's just going to be a complete nightmare up here to Oklahoma and to Arkansas, and eventually head up into Missouri, and then we just do it all over again on tomorrow night into Tuesday morning up here into Illinois, into Indiana, and going into Ohio. But you got the rain aspect of it. It's not just a Monday, Tuesday thing. It's heading into Wednesday. Further to the south, those rainfall totals will start to be elevating pretty quickly. We're going to be seeing probably widespread flood watches down here further south. But then finally it transfers to just all snow as the warmer air just kind of runs out of room. And it's just all snow up here into Michigan, up into the upper Great Lakes, and eventually heading up into, New York up here. But then eventually the colder air will finally just be gone. I mean, the warmer air finally kind of takes over going into Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night time frame, and then it's just all rain falling over that same blocking mechanism, because you got the ridge to the northeast, you got the trough out west, and then what's in the middle, you just got that funnel effect of just a steady stream of moisture coming in from the Gulf and then just pumping it inland. So that's why we're definitely concerned about not just, especially even some severe storms, like marginally induced severe storms on the southern flank of this, but definitely all the rain that's just going to be coming in on the backside of this setup. But definitely some warmer temperatures. I mean, the Arctic air is going to be bye-bye, as all this is going to be melting big time. That initial ice that's going to be falling, and then you got the rain on top of that, and the warmer temperatures that will trail behind. So then it's just a complete nightmare with the mess of all the snow, and all the freezing rain will melt, and then of course you put all the rain on top of that. That's a lot of water that's got to be running off and everything, and so that's why it's just going to be a complete mess with this particular setup going in for the next couple of days. But the rain is going to be the real deal coming in on the backside of this. It's just these training rains really all week long, hitting some of the same areas, heading up into eventually into the northeast by the time we get into Thursday. Here's the breakdown on the snow. So you still get the Intermountain West snow, you got the atmospheric river, you got the Sierra snows, you got the Cascade snows, you're still going to get the elevated snows. But it's not really much snowfall this week into the week ahead. The only game in town is further north, where that banding hits on Wednesday, heading into Thursday morning up there in Michigan, up here to the upper Great Lakes region, heading into New York. But the main concern is just all the ice that we're going to have to be dealing with the initial stages starting tonight there in Texas, into Oklahoma, into Monday, going into Tuesday, and eventually this swings over into Wednesday. So this is a widespread 3-day event as the warm air comes in from the south and eventually run out of that colder air. Then it's just all rain, but that doesn't happen until that Thursday time frame. And look at the deluge that's going to unload this week. So you got the atmospheric river that comes in off the west coast, very heavy rain for them. This is over a 7-day time span. Look at all that area in red. That's easily 2 to 4 to 6 inches of rain all the way down here. I was watching the 49er game last night. It was pouring pretty much the entire game. Got a lot more rain to come in that neck of the woods up there along the west coast, and eventually this will swing over into the desert southwest, getting into Nevada, into Utah. Some of that will be that mountain snow, but it's definitely more concerning with by the time we get, once that freezing rains is done, you got all the rain on the southern flank of this. Easily, 2 to 3, 4 to 6. Some of these areas in brown, we're talking 6, 8, even upwards to 10 inches of rainfall all week long. I would not be surprised some of these isolated areas here seeing some 15-inch totals by the time we're all said and done, because this system just doesn't go anywhere all week long. It just starts keep funneling in that warmer Gulf moisture and pumping it inland. So we're going to be taking a massive drought busting situation. I'll be anxious to see the drought index once it sets up next week, as most of this, a lot of the extreme and exceptional is going to be putting a pretty good dent on these drought areas that have been so drought stricken for an extended period of time. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch my next update. Fire protect you before and after the storm.